Not that you can hear me.
I just toggled audio, I think.
Not that you can hear me.
Okay, I heard it come through YouTube. I just.
Hey, I just heard myself say that. Yay, the sound must be working.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I toggled it on.
Weird. So you were muted for us, but I can hear you through the thing. Anyway, sound is working. All right. So I'm going to start over. Welcome to the March board meeting. Um, Please, if you'd like this to be counted for attendance, fill out the form in the meeting description, as well as put a greeting in the chat so that we know that you are here. As well as there's a link to the agenda in the meeting description, so feel free to follow along with the agenda. So first we're going to go ahead and recap the off-cycle board actions and votes. We did not do anything in the off-cycle. We're all busy with convention prep, and I got sick, so woohoo. We also do not have any planned discussions from any parties today. We'll go ahead and move on to coordinator updates. So last time we made a decision to go ahead and donate money to AUSM, but we needed to research the different options that they had. So I had emailed them and she emailed me back with some options. So I figure our best bet is just to go over the options she sent us back. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Present. Window. Chrome. Okay. So basically she said here is a link to like sort of their overview, and I believe I had specifically requested like 2 items. So one of them was the steps for autism, which is in May. So basically it's like if we want to have a booth, name on the website, name on the sponsor banner, more things. So it's different tiers. And then there is also a puzzle competition at the Mall of America. And again, there are tiers there. So I think to stay, I can't, Nick, do you remember, did we vote on a dollar amount last time, or did we just say we were going to look into it? I don't know if you can check.
I mean, I can double check pretty quickly.
Because it's like if we picked $1,000, then we're gonna want to do just like exhibit or end table for both of them.
Yeah, I think for AUSM we didn't say like any specific amount in the meeting. You said
Okay,
that you would reach out and we'll go from there. We did for the
for
other
the
one,
Kyoto
the Japanese
ramen.
archery group.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So for that, so what do you guys think? These are our options. We want a table. Do we want to have our name? Well, okay, they all have the name on the website. The difference between bronze and exhibit. Acknowledgement, emails, highlight, and social media, insert in participant bag. Do we think it is worth it for the extra expense? Or should we just do exhibit? Anyone have any thoughts? I would love as many of you as possible to join us on camera, unless you are eating, then you have an excuse. And I do believe her email said, like, if we bundle 2 together, we save $100. So, you know. So, I mean, I think that just the first column would probably be fine for both of them. I don't know that we need to go up to bronze. It might be nice, though. We definitely could. Then it'd be like $1,500. Anyone have opinions?
I think that makes sense. Or I guess like general like donation amount's 1,000, so it'd be a bit lower, especially if it is I don't know what the $100 bundle would be, but just doing the exhibit or table price for both would be like 800. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be
Fine.
$299 plus $499, so yeah, 800 minus 100 maybe. I don't know.
I think that sounds pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
We
that would
will-
be fair.
They sent this lovely like long form, so I will get that form filled out and we will get first here for both of those. Let me stop sharing.
Say we'll
Okay.
be first tier, so like the table and like the low, like the table and exhibition one.
Yes.
Okay.
Exhibit and table. No bronze. You don't need precious metals. We just want to be there. Okay. Next up, special events. Nothing really happening with that. We did receive an email from a brewery that wants us to help them with an anime night, and I said that sounds great. Email us back after Anime Detour. I don't have any brain power for it right now. Then I have JC on the agenda next. You are muted, Alyssa. If you meant to say anything.
I just said, do any of us have brain power? Which is
Right.
very evident by forgetting to unmute myself.
Yeah. I had JC next. Not sure where he's at. He hasn't responded to anyone's chat, so it looks like. So that is fine. Maybe he will come on later. Maybe he won't. I don't know. So next up, I have Jeanette. Can you go ahead with the bank account balances, please?
All right. Hello, everyone can hear me? All right. So in our checking account right now, we have $265,420.43. And in our education savings fund, we have $3,098.34. In our community fund, we have $14,507.14. And that ends my report.
Okay, and then I'm looking for the email right now and I'm not finding it, so it might have been in one of our chat messages. Do you need an updated board notes for the bank account stuff that we need to do with changing the executives, or did they tell you didn't need that anymore?
I have not heard anything back from the bank that said that the previous minutes were sufficient. So the banker gave me a script of what should be stated in a formal meeting minutes. And so that I should be able to present to the bank by myself, minus the two previous treasurers.
Okay, so you don't need us to do it right now during the meeting.
No, we can do
Okay.
it. Yeah.
You're just writing the letter.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. Sweet. All right. Okay. Things are happening in the background and I'm losing my mind. Where's my agenda? Okay. All right. Then next I have communications on board. Thank you.
Hi, can everyone hear me okay? Perfect. The only update I have is kind of a fun one. We do finally have a Blue Sky account. I can put that our at kind of in our chat, but it's going to be Anime Twin Cities at animetwincities.bsky.social. Come join us on there. It's a very fun way to connect with everyone.
Thank you, Michaela. What is up, Bruce? Or did you not mean to raise your hand?
No, did we want to change that to our actual URL? All it is just a couple of domain change rules.
I don't have any idea how any of that works. So whatever you guys think. I don't use
Bruce,
I use Facebook. Yeah.
I can connect with you after this, or at least try to email you back and forth to see if we can get that working.
Yeah, if you're on Discord, I'm in on the Discord, so you can just
Or
shoot
they
me.
could just use the Google chat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or email. Whatever. Whatever works. Okay. Next up is a 15-minute break, which I think we can vote to skip. All in favor of skipping? Yay, beautiful. All right, we'll skip the 15-minute break. Okay, so I put on here election prep. So our previous bylaws had very specific guidelines on how to do elections. And there is also a policy, and the policy we definitely need to follow, but the guidelines have been changed, but the guidelines in the bylaws aren't there anymore. I didn't dislike them, they're just really specific. So I think we just need to sort of break down what our timeline is going to be for this year. Because at the big Anime Detour staff meeting that's happening this weekend, I just want to say, hey, if you want to run for the board, email us. And I want to be able to tell them, the timeline. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh, Ellie has a cat. All right. So I do have. Oh, I closed out of that document. Darn it. All right. I had the document up with the old timeline, but basically it was like elections happen after the postmortem, and then you get instated in June, and then they can vote in July, I think. Or results are announced in June, and then you can vote in July. Does anyone remember what we've done in the past? We just want people to send an email, right? Okay. So when is going to be our deadline for them to send the email by? The postmortem meeting, perhaps? Or before that?
When is the postmortem again?
I don't know that they've scheduled one yet.
Okay.
But it's usually in April. I had the timeline document that Nick made for us open, but I closed that tab because I am foolish. Let's see. ATC timeline. So, well, the postmortem is either April or May. And then the election / voting / interviews happen in May. We announce the results at the June board meeting. And then in July, the new people take over, basically.
Okay.
So man, it's so complicated. Initiative feeds. Anime Twin Cities document. What is our election policy right now? It is policies. Okay, so basically, like our current election policy is, deliver a speech and answer the Q&A. So we can maybe address that, but I don't think we need to. I think we're all fine with that. So we just need to pick our dates. So do we want to have the election like during the May board meeting? Like, I mean, it can be like that whole day or that whole week or whatever. Let me just double check our new one. That's what we put for elections. To not have anything that says elections. Oh,
Yeah, looks like we took it all out.
Mm. Membership. Okay, voting members. Meet the requirements. Oh, that's for those. Okay. Okay, so yeah, it's at our discretion, so we can do
Yep.
whatever we want. I swear we had something that had how much time we had to give for something, but maybe that was for, oh, that was for the amendments. That's right. Okay. Um, oh, we can definitely talk about this in chat after the meeting, but I feel like it'd be easy enough to
Yeah.
choose
Getting out of the way.
when we
sounds
want
good.
people to do the like if we do them, you know, during the May board meeting, that's when we could have the interviews, or we could have the interviews on a different day.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on how many people interview or have schedules line up,
Yeah.
but does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Well, so like in the past, the elections took place during the postmortem, which is not something that we want to do because then it's confusing because it's like, what am I voting for? Anime detour stuff. So I feel like saying, hey, please get your interest submitted by the day after the postmortem, because then we have a chance to get people that went to the postmortem. Does that make sense? Okay. Then that gives us time to then schedule when we're going to do the interviews and schedule when we're going to do the election. Does that make sense? Okay. So presumably that will all be in April. All right. Beautiful. Anyone else have anything to say about how we're doing elections? Oh, I remembered a thing. Um, so right now we have 8 board members. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them, this term is ending this year. So we should probably go back down to 7. Does everyone think that's a good idea? Okay, so then we're gonna have 3 open spots that we're looking for. Does that work? Okay. All right, so 3 open spots for board members. Email us. What is the right term for it? Email us if you want to run your statement of,
Statement
I
of
don't know.
interest.
Yeah. Your statement of interest by date after post-mortem meeting, which is TBD, I assume. Okay, beautiful. I wrote those notes down. I guess Nick will have them too, so I can always refer them later. But,
Yeah.
okay.
True.
So then next on the agenda is policies updates. So, Hope and Kevin wrote 4 different policies for us to review. Let me share my screen again. Share window. Beautiful. Okay, so the first one that we're going to go over because it's at the top of the document is the conflict of interest policy. Yes, Allie.
Do you want to zoom in on that a bit so we can actually read it?
No.
Please. Thank you.
We don't need that. Is that good? Okay, perfect. All right. So The purpose of this conflict of interest policy is to protect the interests of Anime Twin Cities when it is contemplating entering into a transaction or arrangement that might benefit the private interest of an officer, director, or staff member. It's intended to supplement but not replace applicable state and federal laws governing conflicts of interest for nonprofit organizations. I don't know if I should read this whole thing out loud or not. That seems like a lot. So let's see. Examples of conflict of interest include having a financial interest in a business, receiving compensation, duty to disclose must be made as soon as the conflict is recognized. Board or designated committee shall review the disclosure and determine decision making, approval of the transaction with appropriate safeguards, prohibition of the transaction, documentation. Okay, that seems pretty boilerplate to me. It doesn't, nothing shouts out to me as causing an issue. Anyone else have any comments? Okay,
Are we gonna be just like voting on like if we are good with the policy and then we'll have
yeah,
it posted?
that was gonna be my next question. Are you guys happy with this? Can we go ahead and vote on it or? Yeah, okay. All right. So all in favor of um implementing the
Approving?
approving, yes, the conflict of interest policy as presented here. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All right. Beautiful. Then that one is good to go. So Nick, you'll be able to get this posted up on the policy section of the website, right? Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Then the next up is a, excuse me, a whistleblower policy. The purpose of this whistleblower policy is to encourage board members, volunteers, and other members of the Anime Twin Cities to report unethical behavior or suspected violations of the law without fear of retaliation. Anime Twin Cities is committed to maintaining the highest standards of integrity and accountability in all its operations. And then let's just review all of the numbers here. Interest. Inadvertently or in writing. Okay, it looks like there are a couple parts that we need to fill in the blank for, which is fine. That's why we're here. Um, so just think really quick. So basically, it says if the so it says it should go to the president. Oops, can you guys still read that? Or designated compliance officer. So, do we think that would be like a role for a member at large, or would that be just an officer? Like, because we've got president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. Um,
I would think that could be like a member at large position.
okay.
In that case, then that would give anyone who's making a report someone to go to if their issue concerns the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, etc. They can go to a specific member at large as well. And so then
Okay.
that would kind of roll into the second part. If it involves the board president, then reports should be designated to fill in the blank.
Sure. And so would we want to designate the compliance officer when we, like, after elections, when we're designating all of the officers? Does that make sense?
I think that sounds reasonable.
Okay. Now, could it be an officer, or should it be a separate role so that it isn't any of the officers?
I would say that it should be, like I said before, just to give people an option that's not an officer in case their complaint involves
Right.
one or more officers.
Okay.
That is, of course, assuming there's enough board members to have someone who's not an officer.
Well, our goal is 7. And we've only got 4 officer positions. So,
Right. So I would say ideally it would not be an officer.
Yeah. All right. So reports can be made verbally in writing to the board president or designated compliance officer. I don't understand. Yeah, like it can be in writing to the board president or designated compliance officer. So what do we need the second bullet for? Right? Does that make sense?
I think we can keep it just to be absolutely clear about the situation.
I would leave it to clarify the fact that it doesn't automatically go to both. And I would just then change it to be if the concern
So we'll just
involves
put-
the board
we'll put
president or
and here.
designated compliance officer, the report should be sent to the other person.
Okay, we'll put involves either of these. Let's see, above. I don't know how to phrase that. Or it should be directed to the other one. Someone write that better. Let's see. All right,
In
I've
chat,
got
they suggest to the alternate receiver.
to the alternate receiver. Okay, do we like that, or do we like this one that I just copied and pasted in here? No, this one says this is either. I don't want this either. I want this to both.
maybe we want to add solely to the alternative receiver, or solely to the alternate person.
I think that's a good call.
And I think other's fine.
We have the.
I like the top one.
The reports can be made verbally in writing to the board president and designated compliance officer. I don't think this needs a comment. Okay. If the concern involves either of the above, direct solely to the alternate receiver. Okay, that is beautiful. I believe those were the only blanks on that policy. So, are we happy with this one?
Do you know
Okay.
or define who the
Mhm.
executive director is? Like for question 7?
Question 7. That's a great question. Who is the executive?
I assume that would be you today.
Yeah. Questions regarding this policy should be directed to the board. I think it should just go to the board of directors, or the compliance officers. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna put board of directors. I think that makes more sense.
You could say to any of the members of the board of directors, because you wouldn't necessarily maybe want to bring up a question if it involves one of them specifically to the entire board.
That's fair. Beautiful. Okay. All right. So, all in favor of approving the whistleblower policy, or sorry, motion to approve the whistleblower policy. Can I get a second? Alyssa, you second? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Okay. Number 3. 3 of 4. Halfway done. All right. Coordinator review policy. So, let's see. In the past, we sort of requested the reviews in June. Last year I did it in April. And I'm not really sure when we gave the reviews, but that's just when we requested them. And that's about it for that timeline. So, this new one. So the coordinator review policy provides clear guidance and standardized procedures to ensure that all reviews are thorough, consistent, and aligned with the organization's goal. By documenting these procedures, the organization aims to maintain accountability, facilitate continuous development, and ensure that each coordinator operates effectively. This applies to all coordinators under the governance of the board of directors. And I'm going to stop reading out loud now. Oh, this one's so long, guys.
Sorry.
It's all right. I'm happy it's written. Officially document, publicly provide. Okay, so I know in the past, I don't think reviews have been public. Now, whether or not that's a good thing is something we can talk about. I wish JC was here to give his opinion.
At least historically, back when I was a previous board member, we did have them at a board meeting.
Oh, did we? Okay, all right.
No,
I
that
feel
might
like
not
I
have
was
happened
asking
for that way for
before.
a
Yeah,
while, but
it was just like via email, like here's your report. I don't know. So yeah, I think it's a good idea. I don't know how everyone else feels about it.
yeah, and yeah, I did mention it like a high level. So like if there's like
Well, yeah, we don't have
individual
to like
things,
go into
you
the
don't have to go
nitty-gritty.
over bullet points,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Um, let's see. Trying to think if there was anything else on here. Ah, Nick, as secretary, does that seem like too much work for you to do by yourself, or are you happy with that?
Um, I guess
Basically, you're the centralized location for all of the feedback to go, and then you kind of organize it for us to all review.
yeah. I guess as long as I have like a pretty clear list of like who I'm actually sending the reviews to slash who I'll be sending like requests for feedback on the coordinators to, then I can like email or like follow up with emails if I don't get a response and store that like wherever the appropriate place is and yeah, just summarize I guess. So as long as I have like a pretty clear list of who to solicit the feedback and get the reviews from, that should be fine.
Wonderful. Okay. Mm. Okay. Anyone else have any feedback on this?
Are those
Okay.
timelines too aggressive? I was trying
I
to get
don't
it to the
think
point
so.
where it would happen while people were still on the board from the previous cycle,
Yeah,
but
that's my thing. It's like doing it after elections never made sense to me because it
yeah,
was like, well, we need to review them for what we just did. Why would we do that with new people? Um, so I think that makes sense. Within a month of it needs to start within a month of detour. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
and then it then ends a month after that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
cool.
Yep. So within 2 months, we should have it. It's just the only annoying thing is then you're trying to do that and do elections, and it's all happening at the same time, right after detour when everyone's tired. But that's okay. The summer is busy. We'll
Yep.
be okay. We can handle it. All right. Um. Okay. So, motion to approve the coordinator review policy as presented here.
I'll
Did I get
second.
a second? Beautiful. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Yay, beautiful. Okay. So we just had Michael join us in lieu of JC because he couldn't join us this evening. Michael, we do have one more policy we're going to go over for this meeting, but if you want to do an anime detour presentation first, I'm totally fine with that. Basically, just like a
Well,
brief update.
so there's a convention happening in like 2 weeks' time or something like that,
Mhm.
something small. I'm sure it's not going to be a big deal or anything. Um, Unfortunately, I don't have exactly much of a presentation set because I was not entirely expecting to be here until a very short time ago. Our big notice would be the battle plan meeting Saturday. Seriously, every department needs at least one representative there, but anybody who can make it, by all means, please come and make it because it will be our way of setting up for the convention. So that's just our general reminder. Everything important in the convention will be discussed at that meeting. Um, but yeah, that's about all I have for the convention at the moment. If I come up with something, I'll throw it in at the end here.
Okay. Nothing fun and exciting then. Just the usual chaos.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that me and JC kind of got cooking. I think we're gonna wait till Saturday to go over it, just because we
That's
gotta see how
fine.
something comes down tomorrow here a little bit. But yeah, it's related to the reason I was asking you for pictures earlier today, Christina, so you can probably
Ah,
figure out what it is.
okay. Sounds good. All right. Then we will go ahead and go back to our policy discussion. 404. Let me share my screen again. We're having so much fun today. So much paperwork. But we're being productive, so it's good. Okay. So the last policy we were able to work on was our ban list policy. So this policy is designed to protect the safety, dignity, and well-being of individuals involved with Anime Twin Cities, including members, volunteers, staff, and participants. The ban list exists as a tool to address serious misconduct and to prevent harmful behavior from recurring within the organization's activities and spaces. Okay, so this policy applies to all individuals participating in or attending organization-sponsored activities. This is a weird sentence. We're going to come back to that. Including but not limited to in-person events, online communities, and communication channels. Okay, let us review the rest of it. Okay. This part, I'm going to use a color instead of doing. Okay. So this one still needs a bit of work, which is what we're here for. If I scrolled up too fast, please let me know. I'll go back down. We're good? Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So under scope, I am confused by the sentence. This policy applies to all individuals participating in, I think it's just that comma that's messing me up. Participating in or attending.
How about
Or
this
does it
policy
apply?
applies
Yeah.
to all individuals participating or attending an Anime Twin Cities sponsored activity?
It's an Oxford comma. You actually technically should have the comma before the or.
Well, it's like not like a, but there's only 2 items. There's not a 3-item list, so it shouldn't need a comma. It's just
Right.
kind
The
of
Oxford comma kicks in when you have more than 2.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose.
I
So
think
I
that was,
trust
and
you
I'm
for
like, and I'm
editing
not sure if
stuff.
if it meant to be a list or if it was just like organizing or attending and popping that out, but it doesn't need to be popped out. It's just, participating in or attending.
And then
Anime,
add
yeah.
in an before Anime Twin Cities.
So I would do an Anime Twin Cities activity.
Yeah.
I'd say
I think like
any-
leaving it plural. Is that what you're saying, Allie?
That's what I'm saying. Yep. Make it
Any
clear that it
anime
extends to absolutely everything.
Okay. In person, online, and communication channels. Okay. That makes sense to me. Grounds for being placed on the ban list. Pretty much this kind of says to me, anything that has a reason. And these are all of our reasons. These all work for everybody? I can't think of anything else.
Do we want to also add another bullet point? Any other reasons that aren't listed that are deemed worthy by the Anime Twin City Board of Directors? Just so we cover our bases if it's not outlined in there.
Yeah, you need a kind of open-ended thing so you don't lock yourself into something. So just say a vote of the board of directors or something to that effect.
For any actions that aren't listed here. Above, that works.
Mm-hmm. Thank
That's
you.
just more of a CYA kind of statement.
Mm-hmm. Like, well, I didn't do this thing. I'm like, yeah, but you did this awful thing. Can't think of what, but I'm sure someone will come up with something someday. Hopefully not.
I can think of a whole range of things, but I'm not going into them.
Yeah, let's not give anyone any ideas. Okay. I'm so jealous of all of you guys in your labs, seriously. Okay, so then this process part looks like we need to workshop it a little bit. So an individual actions must first be reported to the organization's leadership. So we want to expand on this to include on AD policies, procedures. Yes, Bruce?
Do we either at the Anime Detour level or ATC have an actual incident report URL, or is it a form, or what is it exactly? I know each one kind of does this a little differently.
I know Allie has some in operations, and I do believe staffing has made specific ones for staffing this year.
Okay.
I don't think we have like a specific form, but we take incident reports from people.
Okay,
just kind of
that's
write
what
them
I.
up. And then if it's something that needs to be escalated, then we generally will forward that on to the chair team.
Okay,
and we can of course start CCing the board into that too.
Well, no, it's perfectly fine. I didn't know because different orgs do it different ways. So yeah. I know at my other con we have a specific incident report Google form that we fill out. So
okay. Oh, okay. Michael will be back. All right. So, I mean, I feel like an incident report, like It's basically like we just don't want people banned without documentation. That's what we're trying to say. I don't know how specific it needs to be. It just needs, you got to write it down and it needs to go to the right people. But so, I mean, I guess the question is, who is doing the banning? Now, in the past, obviously the executive team, the board banned things extremely rarely. However, I don't know if that's how it should be. Yes, Allie.
So 2 things I was gonna say. First, make it the actions must be reported in writing, so we have that paper trail. And then I would say on this, so we do have some bans that are at the ATC level. We always kind of have. I would say if a particular branch wants to have their own policy, they could have that too. But this would be for anything serious enough that they need to be banned from all branches. Or do we want to just make it, if you screw up?
I mean, here's the thing, like if a coordinator feels the need to ban someone from their event, I don't want us to be like, no, you can't, but I also want to know about it.
Right. No, we should be informed about it. Yeah. I'm just wondering, maybe should we just make it so that everything is always at the ATC level? So like if someone's banned from Detour, we wouldn't necessarily want them showing up at, say, Cosplay on Ice if we were doing that.
Right.
So maybe we should just have all bans sit at the org level.
Yes, Bruce.
Oh, I was on mute. Not sure. I don't necessarily want to table the entirety of this, but it also sounds like we need to probably have a policy in place at the Detour level first, and then maybe once that's in place, come back and look at it from the ATC level once we see what the Detour level 1 is, unless that's already in place.
I don't know that they've had one. And I would rather us come up with a policy and be like, hey, Detour, this is what we're doing now, since that's what would make, does that make sense to you, Michael?
So Detour should, well, at least in the past, has had a conduct policy, but it probably hasn't been updated in a while.
Right.
I will say, just to Allie's point, I know in the past we have had split bans between organization and ATC levels, branches, and while it is nice that somebody doesn't get totally screwed out of ATC, it has caused problems in the past. Mm-hmm. In all likelihood, it is probably cleaner just to have the ban sit at the ATC level.
Okay.
Because if somebody screws up at the Detour level and then they show up to another ATC event like Cosplay on Ice, they're probably going to run into the same people that caused them to get banned from Detour, just because it's the same organization.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe this is just kind of spitballing. If an individual's actions necessitates a ban, I would just say CC board at that point.
Yeah. So an individual's actions must first be reported to the organization's leadership in writing. Okay. So an individual's actions must be first reported to, so it's the organization's leadership. So do we want to put the events coordinator?
Coordinator, chairman, team, whatever verbiage for that.
A coordinator or board of directors?
Yeah.
I'm not sure you necessarily want to say it must be reported in writing so much as it must be reported to leadership, whichever, and then a written report must be filed afterwards, because the first report is going to be verbal almost certainly.
That's to be. Yes, Kevin.
Do we even need to discuss that an action has to be reported? Because if we're considering them for a ban list, something's already been reported. Shouldn't like the incident just have to be documented at this point? because it's already well past
Yeah,
the
so it's like
reporting
if
stage.
you're on the ban list, then an incident report should have happened at some
Yes.
point for you to end up on the ban list.
Yeah, so the report should just be documented with the board of directors.
Incident report should exist. I don't think every incident report needs to come to the board of directors, though.
No,
I
but
think
for
that's
if it's going to go
relevant
into the
though.
ban list, it probably should.
Yes. But so say someone does something and no one's made a decision yet. So like, hey, this thing happened. Safety or ops heard about it. Ops has made an incident report and forwarded it on to leadership. So that's like ops's process.
Yep, but this isn't talking about incidents. This is talking about ban list placement.
Okay, but I would say that we should, because this is the process for putting them to there, I think we should keep that step in place, because that is the first step. Step one is an incident report is submitted. You know, if then there's an investigation into that incident report and it's determined this isn't worthy of a ban, then it stops there. We don't go through the whole process if it's not worthy of putting them on the ban list at that point. But it's still the first step. We do still start there.
Sure.
So I would keep it on there as a, specifying that this is where it all begins. Is we first receive some kind of a report to the relevant people, and once that's received, then we look at this report and say, okay, should we investigate this further? We investigate it further. We say, okay, let's make a decision. Okay, if this person sucks, we're going to ban them. Okay, we're done. But we do still need to have step one. The incident report happens.
Yeah. So like the thing happened, and then an incident report is created, and then we go from there.
Can we
an individual.
Can we just say like an incident report must be a written incident report must be filed? Do we have to go past that then?
Sometimes we get complaints saying, like, and then we get an email saying this happened to me by this person. Does that count as an incident report?
I mean, that's a written complaint, so
yeah,
that would be a written submission of the incident. It's not specifically, a formatted, bullet pointed, whatever incident report, but it's still a report of an incident.
Documentation. An individual's actions must first be documented either via written submission or incident report. How's that sound?
I would just say it must be documented via an incident report, because you should just have a flat out incident report that does all of that.
But if someone is emailing the board with a complaint, then we're not going to have an incident report for it. I'm not going to go make an incident report.
Literally copy it to the incident report folder and it's become an incident report.
Yeah.
I would still keep it as it is, because that makes it clear it doesn't have to follow a specific
Step one
form.
is documentation. Step two is incident report. How's that sound?
Yeah.
This is why this one was last. Not really, it just got pasted in last. Okay. Okay, so an investigation of the incident, including gathering statements from involved parties and reviewing relevant documentation, will take place within X days from incident report. 7, 2, 20.
7 or 14, I think.
You probably do want to say from initial report, initial notification of the incident, especially if the incident report is a separate step. You want to make sure it's coming off that first step, not the incident report itself.
Yeah.
I also would not use 7 to 14. I would just pick one of the numbers, because if it was something critical, you couldn't start at day 5, for instance, or day 1, as written.
Plus, it says within.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can just say like within 14 days, and it'll be anywhere in that range.
Yep.
Give us 2 weeks,
Yeah.
but hopefully it won't actually take us that long.
Yeah,
Okay.
that covers for like if the incident report comes in like right at the start of, right at day 0 of detour or something, where we're not probably going to get to it for at least a week. Sorry, we're
Yeah.
kind of in the middle of something.
Well, and I mean and at con, I guess the thing is sometimes bans are handed out right at con, and that
Also true.
it's
Sometimes we
fine.
act on them
Yeah.
pretty much right away.
Right. Okay, so once so I mean that's the thing. You can choose to remove someone from the premises and then still do a review, be like, you are officially banned. I guess. They don't need to be banned for us to kick them out if they're doing something stupid, right? We'll go with that.
Correct.
Because
We can always just.
we've kicked people out without banning them before. Be like, no, you need to go
yeah.
now. Yeah.
Point of order. Do we
Hmm.
want to define a like executive type ban where a coordinator or the coordinator of an event can invoke like a 3-day ban before this process gets done? Because if you kick them out of the con, they'll just come back an hour later.
They might not, though.
They might not, but just a thought.
I mean, I feel like we
maybe define a preliminary ban.
Yeah, preliminary is a better term.
Yeah,
a short-term preliminary ban, active for 5 days.
Yep.
Coordinators should always have authority just to remove people from their event. So
Yep.
we can always
Yeah.
remove people from Detour and just say that they're persona non grata and are not welcome back, which
However we decide to word it, let's make sure we call it out specifically in here that coordinators have the right to remove someone from their event for the duration of it.
Yes.
Where should I put
So
that?
that no one can try to rules lawyer us back saying, well, this says that you couldn't do that to me.
Should I put this under documentation? Like,
It could be under a type of ban, maybe.
Yeah, I put it under type of ban. Put it as preliminary ban under type of ban up above.
okay. Preliminary?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
For the duration of the event, I'd say.
Do we need
Should I add like before an investigation has had a chance to take place? Or should I just leave it like this?
You could say like this is a short term ban while the process or while an investigation. I don't know how to state this without thinking about it.
So I'm trying to think on this. I'm not sure we actually need it listed as a preliminary ban because we can always revoke somebody's registration for detour from the detour side of things, which would remove them from the convention. The only thing a ban would do is stop them from re-registering.
Yep.
But again, it would be
which I think we'd want if we pull their badge.
Yeah. And if
but
we could have other events too.
Tell them we're going to just keep revoking
like I said,
registration.
This is kind of more of a.
I think this is more. I would like to have something in this document covering that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you have the right to remove someone from the event. If someone's being disruptive at Cosplay on Ice, we can kick them out. We might not necessarily ban them, but we can kick them out. And so that's at least in this process. And then we can follow the steps to permanently ban them if we want to, based off of.
So the only reason I was thinking maybe not put it in there is because if you don't have it in there, there's nothing that says we can't do that. When you
I think
put it in there,
our
you
process
lock
says we
yourself
can't.
into a guideline. But by leaving it open-ended, as it were, there's nothing that says that we cannot remove somebody from an event if they're being disruptive. That's
right. But on the flip side, there's also nothing that says you can, and people have tried to rules lawyer us on things like that before.
Yeah, and
So
like
I
they
think
might come look, there's
very
nothing in your ban
specified.
policy that says you can throw me out without doing an investigation first.
We have a
I'm
conduct.
sure it's on I'm sure it's on Reg on like their ticket thing.
Yeah, we have a conduct
Mhm.
policy. If they violate a conduct policy, we can remove them from the event.
But not all events that we might do could be
Right. We
as
don't
documented as detour, like we used to have Outpost
Yeah.
Anime.
I think it's good to have it on there because I don't think this is saying anything that you're not saying, Michael. It's just writing it down.
Mhm.
So it's on here. You need to remove someone before the direction of the short-term ban while investigation is in process. The investigation is in process. Okay, beautiful. I don't know. I'm fine with it. I don't care. All right. So we've got documentation. We create a report. Really, the process for placement on the bad list is first someone does a bad thing. That's step one. Anyway. Okay. Gathering statements from involved parties take place within 14 days. Okay. Once the investigation is complete, a decision on whether to place the individuals on the ban list and determine the type and duration of the ban will take place. I feel like once the investigation over, that shouldn't take any time at all. So like 7 days.
I like 7 days.
Okay. So then we'll actually tell them that they're banned, which I know has been an issue. So we need to tell them why and for how long and how to appeal if they can. Email or certified mail. All right. I don't.
Can I
Mm-hmm.
recommend a another bullet point?
Yeah.
Documentate like filing. All banned decisions and notifications should be filed in the ATC documentation system, just so it just doesn't disappear.
Yeah, so like a step under notification,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It won't let me do it.
Shift tab.
It's not working. Okay, I know what to do.
That works. Window cheat.
What did you call it? Filing?
Or record keeping, filing, retention, anything.
How did you had it on your other one, right?
Yeah. Must be filed.
Record keeping, yeah.
Yep.
Secure here. Must be filed and securely stored within current. What's up, Allie?
A question from within chat. What if you're dealing with the ban of a person of an unknown address, like someone who is ghosting?
Well, like, I mean, we should have their email or their address. And if we don't, then I don't have a good answer. We'll find them in social media and send them a DM.
Just put at the start of notification that all reasonable efforts will be made to notify them of the ban.
Oh, I like that.
That look good.
Like it.
Hold this part so that it matches. Okay. Individuals placed on the ban list may appeal. Appeals must be submitted in writing within 30 days. Clear statement. Appeal will be reviewed within 60 days. All right. I don't see anything else that I think needs tweaking. I think Hope's going to be really sad that she missed this meeting. No, she's in Hawaii. Yes, Allie.
A couple of additional comments from within the chat. One of them was just because we can't legally force a belligerent ghost to identify themselves unless we're having them trespassed by the police. So I think that all reasonable efforts covers that. And then the follow-up, if persons unreachable, by all means, attempt to attend an event they are excluded from, they are to be informed of the ban and removed from property.
First of those two, you don't need to completely identify somebody to trespass them. You just need some identification. A picture is all you need to trespass somebody. But that should not ever come up. But just as
Right.
a technicality.
So, do you think I should add that second part? Maybe like, no, it wouldn't make
I
sense
think we
to
can
be
add
down
something
there.
along that lines just to clarify if we can't successfully reach them, but then they attempt to attend an event, we will notify them of the ban and remove them.
No, that doesn't work for me. I don't know where to put it. Dying. I'm dying here.
You could
the only
split
reasonable
off the
effort
separate. Go ahead.
I was just because I think the only reasonable effort should cover that. Because if they show up at
Yeah.
another event, we can notify them then. Yeah.
You just put or in person. Yeah, I mean,
I think the
maybe
idea
we
of doing
just
it.
don't. I think we.
I think the idea of doing it in email or mail is we have a paper trail.
Mhm.
So doing it in person kind of defeats the paper trail, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But also, it's a good point. If I mean, a ban. Yeah.
I mean, the ban's in effect either way.
Yep.
We don't need to notify
Yeah,
them.
all
that there's a
reasonable
ban in
effort probably
effect, so we
should
don't need
cover
the
it.
paper trail for that.
Yeah, all reasonable effort probably should cover it, but yeah.
That would also cover cases where they're emailed it or mailed it certified mail, and they try to pull a, well, I didn't get it.
Mhm.
Maybe we should write then, regardless if they receive the notification.
They do not receive the. What do you want me to say?
Should we do like regardless if they receive the notification, or if they attempt to attend an event, they will be informed of the ban and removed from the event?
To go off of that point, actually, what you probably want to do is under decision, say the ban will take place after the vote is made. So it doesn't matter if they're informed about the ban or not. It's triggered by the vote, not by them being informed of it.
Should we write upon upon the vote or upon successful passing of the vote, because after is very open-ended.
I say after affirmative completion of the vote.
Sure.
Because successful, I mean, you technically successfully complete
Yeah,
the
yeah.
vote, whether you go either
Yep.
way.
Immediately following an affirmative vote.
Yeah.
So do we still want to say something about if they show up at an event or no?
No, because the ban's already in effect, then you won't need it.
So they're banned. They theoretically know about it, and if they don't, we'll let them know. It's fine. We'll figure it out. We don't gotta write it down. It's it's documented. That's all we can do. All right. Anything else? Okay. Motion to approve the ban list policy. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor of passing the ban policy? Beautiful. Thank you so much. We passed 4 policies today. Nick has a lot of paperwork to do. Okay, and so then with that, the last thing on our lovely agenda today would be our open session. If anyone in the chat wants to chime in with anything, we would be happy to address it.
For those policies, will we need to do a update to the website, or how did those?
Yes, Nick, you don't have to do it. It's something Nick can log into and just submit a post for.
Oh,
and
okay.
it automatically goes to the policies page. It's very nice. I just wish we had more than Nick's login, but I don't think we've ever figured out the admin for it. So we'll get around to it eventually.
I might have a login
Mm,
for that to add users.
okay.
Well, if we can figure that out, then one step closer. Because, I mean, we at least have the update process.
Yeah. Anything in chat? Doesn't look like anything new has come in.
My account was disabled.
That makes sense. Yes, Nick.
Or I guess obviously we'll be really busy this month, but I guess for the next meeting, are we gonna have or change like the policy update like section we normally have at the end of the meeting / agenda and just remove?
Yes. I will take all of the ones that we passed off of it.
So it's just broadly ATC policies and board training being still in progress. So the only 2 left.
And the rental request one.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Okay. Then I think we should be good to go. Who's typing so loudly?
Sorry.
It's okay. All right. All in favor of concluding our meeting tonight? Beautiful. We will end the meeting at 8:27 p.m. We lasted an hour this time, guys. Almost. Or no, wait, hour and a half. Woo! Big boy meeting. Okay. All right. See most of you on Saturday. Have a good night.
Everybody. Should be everybody Saturday.
Some of us are not physically located in the
Yeah.
state.